Okay, so let's keep going. So we've seen a couple more examples here, so I hope this is starting to make sense. Essentially though, like models, remember, control these inputs, and then controllers give us the ability to also control whatever's inside these div tags here, as written first control here. So I have models inside my controller, so I have access to them. So let's say from our last example, I wanted to make that checkbox on by default. As you notice, if I refresh this page here, it's off. So I want it to be on. So I can go ahead and create another variable on my scope. And scope is just basically the entire Angular object, if you will. Just like we have window in JavaScript, if we were to type the scope, let's go over to our console here, inspect, and if I were to type window, I get JavaScript back. If I type scope, I don't think I get that back, but let's just take a look. Yeah, scope is not defined because scope actually belongs to this controller. So when we're talking about scope, think of it as more like this, but it's not the global object in this case. It's more like the current controller, the scope, if you will, of this. So anytime I'm talking about scope, I'm basically talking about the first controller, and anything inside the first controller, like as models and views that I have access to, are all part of this controller's scope. That's the long and short of it. We'll get more into scope later. So if I want to make the checkbox on, then I just need to return this to true, right? And so if I save this, now it's on by default. Because with my controller, I'm modifying the model. And by default, this condition here checks if the checkbox is true or false. So if it's true or false, then we set it to true here. It's going to show on.